It's exactly 100 years since an act of Congress made Puerto Rico a US territory and Puerto Ricans US citizens. Since then, millions of them have flocked to the US, like the parents of Carlos Diaz, who arrived in New York after the Second World War.
They want to live well. Poverty in Puerto Rico was very, very rough out there, and they wanted to come and really raise a family, educate your kids. They wanted you to have a better life that they didn't have because they worked constantly in Puerto Rico.
This is Spanish Harlem, the traditional heart of the Puerto Rican community here in New York City, an area that saw an influx of tens of thousands of migrants from Puerto Rico between the 1950s and the 1980s, people in search of work and a better life. With the island in more than $70 billion of debt and unemployment at 12.4%, they're now being joined by younger Puerto Ricans who are taking advantage of their US citizenship to move to the mainland.
The people that are leaving, it's kind of sad because the people that are leaving are not necessarily the young people, like really young, but they're more like the professionals, the people that are educated, that have spent a good portion of their younger years studying and getting degrees, but then they have no job options.
Despite being citizens for a century, Puerto Rico is not a state, and its residents are treated differently from the majority of Americans. Puerto Ricans living on the island are not entitled to vote in presidential elections, and the territory loses out on tens of billions of dollars of federal funding. And while their status also means they don't pay federal taxes, many believe becoming a US state will help solve the island's economic problems.
We have a pro-statehood governor in Puerto Rico, a pro-statehood legislature in Puerto Rico, and Puerto Rico is in fairly desperate economic condition. So I think there are a lot of legislators here in the U.S. who are considering or offering a greater amount of consideration to the idea of statehood for Puerto Rico than they have in the past.
President Trump has said he would not support the US government helping Puerto Rico with its debt, but has stated that Puerto Ricans should be entitled to determine their political status. 100 years on, and citizenship has had a significant impact on both Puerto Rico and the US. Around 5 million people of Puerto Rican origin now live on the mainland. That's 1 million more than the entire population of Puerto Rico itself. Henry Mawson, TRT World, New York.